How's everybody doing? You guys doing good? Cool. Well, we got a few more people filing in, and while they file in, obviously an environment like this, there's a lot of people you're interacting with, there's a lot of excitement. We're going to try and drop in a little bit together here with a common exercise, and it's something that I like to do. So there was a study out of Japan, and everybody's heard the expression, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Well, that's kind of good advice, pretty good advice, except there's really no scientific basis for one deep breath. However, in Japan, they studied what happens when you take 6 deep breaths. And when you take 6 deep breaths, you actually can notice and measure and quantify changes in your blood pressure, changes that extend throughout the body. So together, to drop in for this speech, we're all going to take 6 deep breaths. And this is something that you guys can remember and also give advice. Instead of saying, hey, take a deep breath, just tell people to take 6, because that's the scientific basis. Not 4, 6. So we're going to take 6 together. Everybody at the same time. Let's do it. 6 deep breaths. Ready? Breathe in. It's like magic. Could you feel the change, like in yourself, in the group as a whole? Now, obviously, there's still people filing in, so it wasn't a perfect, complete change with the whole group. But there's something pretty powerful about one of these innate tools that we have that we just pretty much fucking ignore all the time. Like, oh yeah, breathing happens automatically. But when you pay attention to it, what's also called pranayama, conscious breathing, and there's so many different ways to modulate conscious breathing. You can breathe fast, you can go Wim Hof style, you can go breath of fire style, or you can just do 6 deep breaths and then start to change how you feel. Start to change your consciousness, start to change your physiology just with your breath. Like, how cool is that? Where was that when I was in school learning about a bunch of useless shit? Like, where was the teacher that was like, hey, by the way, you want to change how your body feels? You can do it for free immediately, anytime you want. It's called 6 deep breaths. That would have been cool information. No, I had to learn that at 35 when I was researching for my book, right? It's strange, the paradigm that we're in, which is rife with misinformation and also just not telling people useful information about how to use all of these free natural doctors that we have all over the place, like our breath, like sunlight, like water, like sex, like exercise, all of these things which are actually the miracle drugs that exist. Everybody's looking for fucking nanobots. Well, are you getting sun? Are you breathing? Are you drinking water? Are you having sex? Are you working out? Like, those are pretty good fucking miracle drugs, actually. So, for sure start there. And then, maybe the nanobots will come in and do some more work on top of that. And of course, one of the reasons we're all here, the food that we ingest as well. And there's, as we all know, been a lot of misinformation that is now being corrected. And that's a really exciting paradigm, because the body is that foundation from which we build everything else on top of. But I had a question for you guys. And my question is, how many people are here or are interested in this field because you want to live longer? So everybody who does this because they want to live longer, raise your hand. A lot of hands. Keep them up, please. Okay, how many of the people here with your hands up feel like you're really living right now? Leave your hands up if you feel like you're really living right now. Really living. You guys are doing pretty good. Because really living is a little bit harder than it sounds. That means being present. That means not projecting yourself back into your past, worrying about mistakes you made, wondering what you did. Because when you're doing that, you're not living here now. You're projected back into a past, usually rife with judgment, self-criticism, self-doubt, mistakes you've made. And you may actually be putting upon yourself your own form of retribution for all of these things that you think that you did wrong by looking in the past. Or instead of living right now, you might be projecting into the future. Well, when I get that new job, when I get that new body, when I have that six-pack, then I'll be really living. But now, no, I'm not going to worry about it. Now I'm going to go focus on this goal, and then you'll be looking toward the future. So you're either in the rearview mirror in judgment or in the future in hope and aspiration. But are you really living now? Really, though? Because I haven't always been. And when people ask me, like, hey, what would you tell your younger self? Live more, smile more, know that it's going to be okay. You know, there's a quote, it's one of my favorite quotes, and it's from the Sufi poet, Hafez. And the Sufi poet Hafez says, wherever you are right now, God circled that place for you on a map. Whoa. In hindsight, we might be able to see that because every challenge that we've faced, everything that we've gone through has made us who we are right now. So perhaps it was all happening perfectly the whole time. But when it was happening, were we living presently? Were we enjoying ourselves? Probably not. We were probably worried about the future self that we are right now, or judging the past self that we were some time ago, which really isn't representative of the self that we are now. Because we didn't trust that wherever we were, whatever we were going through, was exactly what we were supposed to be going through. Was exactly the thing that would allow us to be the hero that could overcome that thing, that could be the person here, now. But we probably didn't trust that. You know, when I look at my life, I see so much of it that I just let the magic slip away. And I had an incident that happened this past year in 2018 that was a nice reminder. I say nice reminder, but it was a little bit jarring. I woke up on a Saturday, spent the night in the night before, wear my Oura ring, and I got to track my sleep. And I was tracking it, good sleep. You know, had a nice night. Didn't have any alcohol, no dry farm wine the night before. Because I had a podcast, and I had a podcast with one of my heroes, this conscious musician named Nako Bear, and I was stoked. So I was ready. I woke up, I went through the full routine. Got a little exercise in the morning, get my circadian rhythm. I got a little light coming in. I got my glass of water with sea salt to help rehydrate and replenish my electrolytes. I did all the things right. I had a nice keto-friendly breakfast. I was ready to crush it on this podcast. I grab, go into my car. I have a Spindrift, which is my favorite little sparkling water. And I had that in my cup holder. And I remember pulling out. It's about noon. Pull out of my driveway. And I go out of my gate. It's the last thing I remember. Woke up in the hospital after an incredibly serious car accident that I have no fucking recollection of. Somehow, inexplicably, my brain shut off. Now, this may be something that happens for some people. Maybe we partied too hard and we blacked out. Maybe we did something. I've done a lot of things and never passed out. I once, for my 21st birthday, I took 34 shots of alcohol. Horrible idea. Horrible idea. But I remember every blisteringly painful moment of that. Like, I remember I was only able to get my pants off and get in my fraternity brother's bed, and I was like, here I am, I can't go anywhere. You're gonna have to deal with this. And he's like, okay, man, your bed today. And I was like, sorry. Like, I remember the whole night, but that day, I remember nothing. Nothing. I was out. Except, I didn't even remember the paramedics pulling me out of my car. I don't remember any of that. All I remember is knowing that something really serious happened. Because there was blood covering my whole body. What ended up happening is a guardrail cut through my car, split my face in half, fully in half. My teeth were exposed. Everything was split. I have scars here, you can probably see them. And they had my phone because my phone was in my pocket. And they said, we have your phone. Who would you like to contact? Well, I'll contact my fiance, Whitney. And they're like, all right, what's your phone password to get in? And I told them my phone password. And they got in and they called her. And I remember just saying, hey, babe, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened, but something happened and I'm in the hospital. And I'm sorry because you're going to have to take care of me and I don't know how badly I'm hurt. And that's tough for me because I'm the one that likes to take care of people. I'm the one that likes to show up strong and healthy and hearty. I'm the one that likes people to be able to lean on me. But I knew then that I wasn't going to be able to do that. So I talked to her and she came to the hospital and the whole process, 4 hours of reconstructive surgery, hundreds of stitches. But I had a funny feeling during that whole process that whatever happened that day didn't happen to me, it happened for me. I just didn't know why yet. Why did this happen for me? But I had this feeling because everything that's ever happened to me before in my life happened for me, not to me, because of the choices that I made to adapt. And as time went on, I started to realize why this happened for me. As a reminder, because as my nose was peeled off my face and they had to sew it down, I had no sense of smell. And when you have no sense of smell, you can't really taste your food. My lips were all covered in stitches. I couldn't really chew. So I couldn't appreciate food at all. Food was just like whatever I can get in my body, some shake I can't taste or something else, I would just consume it. But I missed food. I missed being able to taste. And I missed being able to feel my fiance's lips when I kissed her because the whole middle part of my face was numb. I miss being able to exercise. I miss being able to use my body, to move around, to hit the bag, to jump on the slack line, to swing a kettlebell, to run around, to shoot some hoop. I couldn't do any of that either. So through this, then I started to realize one of the reasons why this happened for me, so I could appreciate being alive now. Like really being alive now. Because when you can't do any of these things, then it's a reminder like, oh, damn, how dope is it to be able to taste stuff? How cool is that? How cool is it to be able to kiss and make love, to be able to work out, to be able to get sun? I mean, I couldn't get as much sun as I wanted because of the scarring. You're not supposed to be out there. I couldn't do any of the things. I couldn't talk. I couldn't do podcasts. I couldn't do all of these things that I love doing that I just kind of took for granted. And so when you think about that, and you see all kinds of conventional wisdom about that from so many different cultures, one of which is great, which involves food. And that's something that I got from one of my authors, who's a hero, Aldous Huxley, and it's in his book, Island. And he talks about saying grace. And I think this is a beautiful teaching that we can all take, something that we can practice, unless you want to go the car accident route, which I don't recommend. But this is something that we can practice intentionally. And that's instead of saying grace and just kind of throwing something out there in gratitude, and that's good, that's cool. But what he does and recommends in his book, Island, is he says, find the very best bite you can. Find that best bite and think about all of the things that were required to make that bite. Think about the sun that had to touch that plant, the water that had to nourish it, or the animal, the places they grazed, all the things that conspired to give you that bite. And throw your gratitude to that, because that divinity is dispersed in all of these creations. So put your gratitude into that. And with your gratitude, it's not something you say, it's something that you viscerally experience with the taste. Get that best bite and chew it and taste it and be grateful and enjoy it. Be grateful by enjoying it. Don't be grateful by having to say, oh, thanks. Be grateful by being like, wow, thanks. Thanks, body that can taste this. Like, thanks, mouth. Thanks, all of the things that created this opportunity? And we could do that with every meal. And how much more would we enjoy those meals? So much more. That's something that we can bring into our life every time. I mean, I was in Houston the other night with my fiance, and I was about to spend 5 days out here in Southern California, and she was watching a movie, and the movie was fine, whatever. But I realized I was just more interested in watching her and just looking at her and looking in her eyes and smelling her. She smells great. And then I could kiss her. Because, yeah, we've been together 7 years, but we're not going to be together forever because time takes all of these things from us. Time takes everything that we have, including this body. But we can take all that for granted because there's plenty of time. You know, there's a quote from the movie Troy, which I really liked, and it was where Achilles is talking to his girlfriend. I forget her name. But he goes, let me tell you a secret. The gods envy us because we're mortal. Because our mortality gives us a time limit. And without a time limit, when we think that everything is going to go on forever and ever and ever, it's way harder to appreciate it. And it's one of the reasons why one of the great Stoic quotes, you know, why Ryan Holiday sells little coins that say memento mori. Remember your death. Let death be an ally. Know that no matter what, we're all dying here. I mean, maybe you could go to another panel with like Aubrey and somebody, and they'll try and convince you that you're going to live forever. Cool, whatever. I'm betting on the we're all going to die side. But that's fucking beautiful. Because this body, this experience, this identity that we have is going to go, so let's fucking live. Let's live. Let's enjoy it. Let's not worry about extending it forever. Because the present moment expands. It's so big. It's so rich. And, you know, for those of you who've been in one of these altered states of consciousness through meditation, through floating, through psychedelic medicine, whatever it is, when you're really deeply locked into the present moment, perhaps it's like infinity and timelessness, and you're experiencing it. Like that is longevity. That is the way to expand your life. Don't worry about counting the years of kind of half-assed living. Who fucking cares? Like, live. Enjoy this stuff. Like, when you get that cup of Chimera coffee out there, when you get that thing, like, marvel at the fact that you've got a mouth that can taste coffee and a body that can react to the caffeine and all of the different alkaloids in that coffee and how it's going to make you feel. And let a smile creep on your face, like, damn, that's cool. Because hypothesize that moment, in my own personal beliefs, there is an essence of us, a part of our consciousness, that will leave this body and be gone. But you know what? Without this body, we don't get to drink coffee. No matter what imagination we have for our spirit or our consciousness transcending this body, ain't no coffee. I'm not going to be able to smell Whitney anymore. I'm not going to be able to taste food. I'm not going to be able to go out on a day like today where everybody's like, oh my God, it's raining. But what if we just went out there? What if we just went out there and felt the rain? Rain on my skin. Because one day we aren't going to have rain and we aren't going to have skin. Maybe we'll come back and we'll try again in a new body, in a new life, and forget all over again and have to learn this lesson one more time. Or maybe we can learn it now and enjoy it now. But the foundation for all of this enjoyment, it starts here, in the body. Like, that's why to take care of the body, not to live longer so you can get stuck in your own mental prisons, get stuck in some version of Gehenna suffering. It's so that we can get this strong, so we can see what the potential of this thing is, so that we can surf if we want to surf. We can scuba dive if we want to scuba dive. We can skydive if we want to skydive. We can really have sex. We can work out. We can feel our body alive. Like my friend Daniele Bolelli says, when the mind is in doubt, the body provides tangible proof. So when we lose confidence in all the other areas, which we all will, we can look back at our body and say like, okay, cool. Body's still here. I guess I'm all right. I guess everything's okay. And we can allow this thing to be that source of confidence. We can trust that we have that wild wolf living inside, that wild primate, that primal human that's here. And then that will give us confidence to start working on our mental practices and our understanding and our emotional practices. And then our consciousness or spiritual practices that allow us to be the observer and actually track all these things and maybe even develop a dialogue with the body. Like if we think about ourselves and we think about our relationship with our body, like we need to go to counseling. Our relationship with our bodies is terrible for the most part because it's a one-sided criticism. Because we're always like, fucking body, sick again, you bitch. There you are, fatty. You know, like we're just constantly talking shit. Imagine if that was like a real relationship. We'd be the worst. We would be the worst. So how many times do we actually like pour love into our body and thank our body and give it actual nourishment? Hardly ever. We just take it for granted and then talk shit when it doesn't do what we want. That is a terrible relationship. Like for sure, we should work on that. We should work to improve that. I talk a lot about self-love. Self-love is one of these things that we talk about, and it's something that's difficult to practice. And I went on a deep dive in Patagonia recently, and I was out there in isolation, and I was meditating on this practice of self-love. Like, all right, how do you actually like put this into practice? What do you do? How can you do this? And really in deep meditation, I had just finished a great book by my friend Ted Decker called Rise of the Mystics, the sequel to this book called 49th Mystic. Beautiful, where he takes a lot of Jesus's teachings and he brings them through in a beautiful story context and explains them with the truth of, at least what I believe to be the truth of genuine spirituality, mystic spirituality. And there's a quote from Jesus, and Jesus says, representing the divinity within all of us, as the representative of the Christ that is within all of us, which is the truth of his teachings, as far as I understand. And he says, that which you do to the least of us, you do to me. So basically, that which you do to the least of us, you do to all of us. That which you do to the least of anybody, you do to yourself. Recognizing that we're all sharing this part of the divine. So I was meditating on that, and I was like, that's interesting. Well, how does that apply to self-love? And I was like, oh, well, that which you do to the least of yourself, you do to all of yourself. So any part of yourself that you don't love becomes the ceiling on how much you love yourself. So if that's the truth, and it seemed to me to be pretty reasonable, then there's so many parts of ourselves that we're so busy judging, we're so busy saying is less than because we're comparing with something else or comparing with some ideal in our mind, that becomes the ceiling on how much we're able to love ourselves. So then I was like, all right, we'll start with the most insignificant thing then. Maybe when I'm putting lotion on my crusty heels or my feet, maybe I love that part, an insignificant part. Maybe as I'm doing that, putting balm on my hands, putting balm on my lips, maybe I love that part and start thanking that part. Maybe I start thanking all the parts and appreciating and loving even the most insignificant parts of myself. And then maybe I start loving My body when it's sick. Oh, body, I love you. You've been trying so hard. You're doing your best, body. Like, good job. I'll listen to you. I'll rest. Good job. And maybe we love when we don't quite perform at our best and we don't quite live up to it. And maybe we aren't killing it in the bedroom. We still love ourselves. Oh, body, you're doing good. I'll do more. I'll help you. You help me, I'll help you. You know, Don Miguel Ruiz has this great concept where he talks about us being the ruler, the emperor, the king of trillions of subjects. And these trillions of subjects are all of our cells. We're the ruler of these trillions of subjects. And again, it goes back to that relationship. What kind of ruler are we? Are we the ruler that appreciates all of our subjects working hard, conspiring to give us this body? Or are we the despot, the tyrant that just feeds it a bunch of crap, says, here, you get the slop, I expect you to perform, pay the taxes and energy, pay everything to me, but I'm not going to give you anything you want. I won't give you breath. I won't give you good food. I won't give you sunlight. I won't give you water. I will give you booze, but that's what you get. That's a tyrant. What about if we change that relationship with our body? Start being a good ruler, start being a good leader, and really create that foundation by which we can start living presently and in the magic of the moment. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you.